Welcome and thank you for listening to the Sales Maven Show. I'm your host, Nikki Rausch, your own personal sales maven, here to offer you tips, strategies, and techniques to master your sales conversation. Today is one of our Mastering Excellence series. This is where I bring on somebody who has achieved exceptional results in some area of their life or business, and we dig into the structure of how they did it. Because from my background in neurolinguistic programming, we know that there is a structure to excellence. And when you can understand the structure of how somebody's achieving these results, you can implement that structure into your own life so that you can achieve similar results for you. So today, my guest, I'm very excited, is Levi Ware. And we're going to talk about turning your passion into a nonprofit. Now, if you're not a part of the Sales Maven Society, you might not have met Levi yet, but let me tell you a little bit about him. He is an acclaimed singer, songwriter, musician, and humanitarian whose unique sound blends elements of AAA, rock, and indie music. In 2010, Levi and his wife Stephanie co-founded the Melodic Caring Project, MCP. It's a nonprofit organization dedicated to uplifting hospitalized children and individuals facing profound illness. Through streamlined concerts featuring personal shout-outs, MCP connects patients, they call them rock stars, with world-class musicians, bringing joy, encouragement, and the healing power of music directly to hospital rooms. The initiative has supported over 51,000 rock star patients worldwide and partnered with artists such as Coldplay, Zac Brown Band, Jason Mraz, Brandi Carlile, Dierks Bentley, Hozier, Amos Lee, Andy Grammer, Lauren Daigle, Flo Rida, Lindsey Sterling, and The Roots, and many more. Levi, welcome to the show, friend.
Thank you so much for having me, Nikki. I appreciate it.
I'm excited to have this conversation with you. I always like to give the audience a little bit of like how we know each other. We just met each other back, it's been a few months now, but I was asked to come and do a training for an organization and their affiliates. And you happened to be in the room, not there as an affiliate, not a part of this organization, but there. Tell everybody a little bit about what you were doing.
Yeah, so Shift Set Go was the
Yeah.
organization that you were giving a presentation at, and
Yeah.
the owners of the company are just dear friends of mine. Actually, Adam, it's Adam and Emily.
Adam and
Adam
Emily.
is a drummer and is my drummer, so we have played together for over a decade, and they wanted to capture it so that they could share the presentation with their team members that couldn't be there. So I came in because that's what Melodic Caring Project essentially is a production company. We use our production to connect kids in hospitals with artists that are performing on stage, but we're a production company. And he called with some questions about how would I capture this? And I said, easy, I'll capture it. So I just brought all my camera gear out. We captured the show. And then when you presented, I thought, holy smokes, this is such relevant information for me. I was sitting there trying to film and not miss a word you were saying because it just hit home so much with me. So we talked afterwards and here we are.
Yeah. When I walked in, first of all, here's this like high-end recording gear in the room. It's totally set up, very professional. And I was like, wow, like I thought I was coming in to do a training, but okay, so we're recording it in a really professional way. And the guy behind the camera wants to talk to me at the end, which of course I'm super flattered by, and to learn about your mission and what you were doing and how sales could actually play a role from the donation conversations with your donors was really kind of what spurred you and I getting to work together. But tell everybody a little bit kind of beyond the bio about Melodic Caring Project, because it is such an incredible organization, and what you and Stephanie have built is absolutely amazing. I know the very first time you came on one of the Sales Maven Society coaching calls, everybody's like, who's this Levi guy and how can we support him? Because it's such an amazing thing that you guys are doing in the world. So I want to give you an opportunity to share a little bit more about it.
Thank you. I appreciate it. And yeah, first, let me say that it was such a pleasant surprise, I'll say, coming onto the Sales Maven call. And it just was such a supportive, fantastic atmosphere. And like you say, I was really kind of taken aback and really appreciated all of the support and the folks reaching out on the live chat and then connecting afterwards. And yeah, it just felt like a genuine community of support, people helping each other accomplish their goals or better what they're doing. So I really appreciated that. And so Melodic, quickly, I'll do a quick
Yeah. I want it all. Give it
synopsis
to
of how
us.
Melodic started and kind of where we're at now. I would say for your listeners, because I think a high percentage, I'm sure, of your listeners that are independent business owners
Mhm.
launch their businesses based on need and seeing a need in the market or seeing a need in their that their particular skill set could provide. So they launch a business to care for or to provide a need for people who are looking for a niche, a niche answer to a problem they have. And that's essentially what Melodic was. When we started Melodic, we did not intend to start a nonprofit. What happened was like you said at the beginning, I'm a singer-songwriter, I'm a musician, I've played for 30 plus years. And for me, I've just always known, right, at a very core level, that music is about so much more than entertainment. And I've felt that in the shows I've played. I've felt that as I've toured across the nation, but in other countries too, where you're performing in a country where they don't speak your language. The language you're singing your song in is not their first language, and they're probably not catching all the lyrics. And yet somehow you're connecting with them on a kind of a profound level, And so I've always felt like music has this power to connect, and have have always since the beginning felt like this is the core purpose for my music,
Yeah.
and haven't been able to find that place. And so music as an industry or as a kind of a money making endeavor is really difficult. It's not an easy industry to survive in. And so I toured and played for years, always holding a secondary job. I worked construction and to support my music habit, you almost might say, because I just had to play music,
Yeah.
but was always looking for that deeper level impact that music was intended for, and playing bars and playing colleges and forever. And I had a conversation with my wife about, well, I will actually say my wife had a conversation with me because I was investing money into music, making albums, and she's going, "This is a really terrible investment. You realize that?" And she's a very analytical, she's a business major, she's an accountant. And so I'm talking to her about, yeah, but you have to understand that music is not a financial investment. Yes, at a core level, it is. We're investing money to record these songs and release them into the world, but I'm not doing it hoping to make a profit on my investment. This, for me, is there's so much more to this. This is an emotional and really almost a spiritual connection I'm investing into to provide something to the listeners. Would I love for them to pay for it? Sure. Would I love to make money on it? Absolutely. Have I realized that that's probably not going to happen? Yes, indeed, I have. And I know it's about more than that. So for me, as we make money on other businesses, I invested in this because I believe this is what I'm supposed to be doing. But trying to talk this through with her, and she's going, so it's not about making money. No, it's really not. It's about connecting with people and supporting people at a deeper level. She says, so then why are you playing in bars? I'm like, touche.
Yeah.
I don't know because I don't know where else to play. She said, okay, just thinking about this from a business level, if what you believe your music is meant to do is more than just entertain people, then you need to find venues to play in where people are looking for more than entertainment. I said, yeah, okay, I understand that. I think you're right. I just don't know what that is or where that is. And so this feels like a long lead up, but it really is the crux of how Melodic started is I have a friend who's a middle school teacher, and one of his students, an 11-year-old girl named Katie, who we live in Mount Vernon, Washington. So she's from a small town, small school. He says, my student was diagnosed with leukemia, and it's a really heavy diagnosis. And it really has shaken the whole class and really our school. I don't know what to do with it. And I wanted to call you to see if you had any ideas of how we could support Katie. Looking back, I think he did have an idea, and I think
Uh-huh.
he knew what my idea would be. And so he called me posing the question, knowing that I was going to say, of course, let's have a concert. Because to me, those are such connective experiences. And that's what I pitched is, man, let's just have a concert. Let's make Katie the center of the concert and let her know that as she goes down this road and has to experience all of what a leukemia diagnosis entails, she's not going to be alone, right? We'll let her know that her community is here. We're going to support her and we're going to be with her as she goes down this this journey. And he said, I love it. Let's do it. So we hosted a concert, had 300 people there from the community, friends, family, classmates. And we were really just there to let Katie know she was not going to be alone. And it turned out the day of the concert, Katie was quarantined in the hospital, going through a bone marrow transplant, and was completely alone. And it was so the opposite of what we were trying to accomplish with this concert, that we were all sitting at the venue going, oh my gosh, now what? I mean, the whole point of this was so that Katie would be surrounded in love, and now she's completely alone in the hospital. And I had a laptop just like this, and it was 2010. So live streaming was not a well-known phenomenon at the time. I had had a music experience where they had live streamed my show globally through another organization that I was playing for. And I thought, what a cool technology. You know, I don't know when I would ever use this, but this is super cool. And so I signed up for a live streaming account on livestream.com just as a kind of a by thought. Like, maybe that'll come in handy sometime. I never used it. And then it came up to the day of the concert. Katie couldn't be there. And I thought, I have that live stream account. We got a coffee shop with an open Wi-Fi network next door. Let's just stream this show to Katie in her hospital room so she knows we're all here. And really didn't think it would be a super emotional connection. I just thought this is a poor solution for this problem that we have in the moment. So I set up the live stream. I sent the link to Katie in her hospital room and played the show. And during the show, would just look into the camera and go, Katie, you're supposed to be here with us. Everybody is here. We just want you to know you're not alone. We love you. And then I would pick up the computer and turn it. And everybody in the crowd waved at Katie in the hospital room. And so we played the show that way. And then afterwards, I called Katie, and she was sobbing, and her mom was sobbing. And Steph, my wife, and I thought, holy smokes.
Yeah.
That actually worked. You know, I mean, we could do this for kids anywhere. And so this is where that, like I was saying, your other sales Maven community you create a solution for what you see as kind of an industry need. And
Yeah.
for me, I wasn't looking for an industry need. This happened to be a personal need for Katie in the hospital. And we thought, man, we could do this for kids anywhere. But we thought somebody else has to be doing this. It's too easy and too powerful. So Steph and I started doing market research, looking and seeing who else is doing this. How are they doing it? At what level are they doing it? It turned out nobody was doing it. And it just was a very obvious, and I was looking for this connective thing that my music could do that was beyond entertainment. And it was like all the pieces, 20 years of me searching for the application that I believe my music was supposed to be used for all fell into place. And so we thought, okay, we have to start doing this. And we really thought at the time, this probably only worked because Katie had some connection with the whole crowd. We really need to try this for somebody that we don't have a relationship with. And Katie had a friend that she had made while she was at the hospital who was going through a similar diagnosis, very heavy treatments, and his name was Braden. And so we thought, let's do a show for Braden as well. We don't know him. He doesn't know us. He doesn't know the crowd. We set up a show in Seattle, played the show. Braden's mom said it was the only thing that he had to look forward to for the 2 weeks leading up to the show. It was because everything else was just needle pokes, right? Chemotherapy, radiation, nausea, illness, isolation. And so he was looking forward to this concert because it was something fun that he didn't have other options for in the hospital, really. And so came up to the day of the show. Braden had had a really heavy, like a double dose of chemo that morning, just because of how the treatments landed calendar-wise. And he was vomiting all day. And his mom, Renee, said, we came up to the time of the show, and I was so sad because I thought, this is the only thing he's been looking forward to all week. And now he's going to miss it because he's too sick. And she said that he leaned over, vomited, came to the time of the show. She kind of panicked, opened the computer, hit the link. The show came up. Braden was still wiping his mouth, leaning over. And the artist said, Braden, man, everybody is here. We're all thinking of you. We just want you to know we love you and you're not alone. This whole crowd is here to support you. And everybody cheered for Braden. And she said that he wiped his mouth and he leaned up and looked at the computer and looked at his mom and said, "Mom, they just called me by name." And she said, "Yeah, Braden, this is for you, buddy." And then the show happened, and she said halfway through the show, he looked at her and said, "Mom, they don't even know me. Why are they doing this?" And she said, just because they love you. They want to support you." And she said that was it. For the rest of the concert, he didn't throw up because it engaged him on such an emotional and personal level that it took his mind off of his nausea and his illness. And when she told us that, we thought, man, this is really powerful. We have to do this. And so we have been now for 15 years, and the journey has been remarkable.
Yeah.
From something that we didn't anticipate, it wasn't intentional. It just was an immediate answer for a need in the moment that turned out to be a really beautiful and incredible kind of side road, and started with independent artists from Seattle and has now gone on to some of the biggest artists in the world, and supporting kids all around the globe has been such an incredible experience.
It's absolutely, I mean, obviously I'm so touched by both those stories. I don't know how anybody could listen and not be. It's unbelievable what you guys are doing. And this fact that you said a couple things already that really hit home. And I know I can relate, and I suspect that anybody who started their own business can relate too. It's like you spend all these years doing something, learning something, experiencing something, and wanting it to matter in some
Yeah.
way. And to be able to bring that knowledge, that experience, those life lessons into something that is going to make a difference, whether it's for me teaching sales, or if it's something much more profound of what you're doing with like everything that you learned about music and touring and audience and engagement and all of these things, that you can bring it and then make this impact in this world. And I know that a lot of the people that I have the real privilege of working with have that feeling of wanting it to matter, wanting to make an
Yeah.
impact. And you've done this. You've done it in such a big way. And so that's why I'm super excited for us to dig into this conversation. So even if you're listening and you're thinking, well, I'm not really interested in starting a nonprofit, totally fine. But listen to the lessons and listen to what Levi has to share with us, because there may be some part of this bigger picture for you that you haven't quite tapped into yet. And that there's more that you can do, or maybe feel called to do in some way. Again, maybe it's not nonprofit for you, but that's okay. Like, make an impact in the world in whatever way that resonates. But I'm really excited to dig into these questions with you and find out kind of, and I love the backstory. It also speaks to how important it is to surround yourself with people who will, in a supportive way, question, what are you doing and why are you doing it? And in this case,
Yeah.
Stephanie,
Yeah.
but even your friend who was the teacher who called you and asked you for advice, but really with this idea of like, he kind of maybe had an idea about what he wanted you to do for Katie, but at the same time allowed for you to kind of get there on your own, which again
Yeah.
is just so powerful. It's so powerful to be surrounded by people who will ask you these questions. I mean, I would have never started my business had Lisa Say, my good friend, said to me, "Why aren't you teaching these
Huh.
skills?" And I was like, "That seems dumb. I don't think people will pay me for it." She's like, "No, I think people pay you for this, Nikki." And it's been the most rewarding experience career-wise of anything I've done.
And I was going to say, I think it's really interesting because I believe that purpose is it's central, and I think becoming more central to people's motivation. I mean,
Yeah.
we all have to work, we all have to make a living. Those are all things that are necessaries, right? But purpose is that's what provides the passion that gets you up every morning to go and do what you do. How do you make your money? Why is it more meaningful than just making money? And I think it's interesting because, like you say, that is something that you can bring to every endeavor in life. I watch you do it on the Sales Mavens calls. The questions that are coming in are professional, but they're relationship based, and you're addressing relationships. Everything is relationship based in the world. That's the reality. I mean, any aspect of business you do, any aspect of, I mean, anything meaningful in life is going to be relationship based. And if you're going about your, whether it's business or anything, with thinking relationship first, that's purpose, that's power, that's
Yeah.
connection with people. And that's where your work takes on more than a corporate, it's more than a corporate endeavor. It's something that you're providing goodness into people's lives. You're providing that sense of connection. You're providing, yeah, I don't know. I mean, to me, that's where
Yeah.
anything you do can be or is profound. It depends on the intention that you bring to it.
Yeah. Which was so well said. I think that is maybe there's people out there that wouldn't agree with what you just said, the way that I feel like my full body yes to everything that you're
Mhm.
saying here, because it is about relationships. I teach relationship first, rapport always, that's so crucial to your success, and that we are not doing this alone. Like sales isn't something you do to somebody, it's something you do with people, and that with it really matters and it really counts. And I know that's not everybody's necessarily cup of tea, and maybe they don't buy it and they think, oh, Nikki's a little woo woo. But to me, it is always back to the relationship and why it
No,
matters.
I think that's the thing that stood out to me most because when I saw you the first time and you were talking about sales feels like a kind of smarmy, and you mentioned it. You mentioned
Yeah,
like the
yeah,
used car salesman thing,
yeah,
right? I
yeah.
think that is the connotation, that's people's association with the word sales. But the way you presented it was so relationship first, which made it feel like wholesome. And I was like, oh my gosh, this doesn't sound awful to me. This sounds wonderful. And it's funny because for Melodic, like, and this has been part of my questions when I'm on the Sales Mavens calls, is how does nonprofit and for profit, what are the things that are similar? As because essentially I am in sales when it comes to
You sure
Melodic Caring
are.
Project.
Yep.
I am out, I mean, you call it pitching, but I'm telling stories about the impact. Why does this matter to me? Why am I passionate about it? Why do I believe that other people should hear about it? Because for me, it has provided so much purpose in my life and so much goodness in my life. And I've watched it provide so much purpose and goodness in other people's lives. And so naturally, yeah, I want to tell people about it. And that to me feels really good.
Yeah.
When I have to turn that into sales, I all of a sudden go, ooh. But you put it in such a way, I'm like, oh my gosh, this doesn't have to be superficial. I can be real and genuine and passionate about this because my job is not to convince people. My job is only to tell them what I believe wholeheartedly in. How they respond is how they respond. And so that made it so approachable to me. So thank you. Because I still
Oh,
keep that in my mind as I'm out talking to people.
yeah. With a nonprofit, there still is this piece of it that has the business component, that there is a need for donations, just like there's a need for revenue in a business. Like without donations, Melodic is probably not going to go very far. And I
Mm.
mean, you're 15 years in, you guys are doing a great job, but there's always that, like, where's that next donor coming from? And to make it that relationship base, and for you to have the story about Katie and about Braden, and I'm sure you have a plethora of stories of different experiences for different kids in particular. And I know it's not just kids that benefit, but that is that thing of, do you want to be the person who is cheering for Katie or Braden? Like, I want to be in that crowd cheering and saying, I love you and you're not alone.
Mm.
Like, who doesn't want to be there? And from a sales perspective, and I know this is a conversation you and I've had too, is that your donors want to be involved. They just need to know how to do it, how to get involved, what Melodic is about, and how they can participate at whatever level they want, whether they want to just buy the ticket and be in the audience at a concert that's supporting one of these patients, one of the rock stars, or do they want to be the person who allows for that concert to happen or allows for that artist to be focused on that particular person? Like that's legacy, that's impact, and that comes a lot of times in the form of donation. So we've got to have donors, just like we have to have sales in our business in order for it to really go. So, all right, let's dig into these questions, because we are going to talk about turning your passion into a nonprofit for anybody who's like, I want to know more about this. and how Levi really thinks about this, because you've done it successfully. You guys are 15 years in to this project. So my first question is always, if I were to stand in for you for a day, so I get to like take on the persona Levi, think the way you think, act the way you act, what's the first thing I have to do, or the first way I have to behave when I'm thinking about, okay, I'm going to take this passion and I'm going to turn it into a nonprofit?
Hmm. That's a really great question.
Thank you.
I think the reality is, it's interesting. I heard a story. So I had a conversation actually with a guy named Dave Morin one time, and he was he was Steve Jobs' PA. So
Yeah.
it was when he was young, and he was in a room in a board meeting with Steve Jobs and the board for Apple. And he said that around the table, all of the board members were talking about profits and how to make more and how to blah, blah, blah. It was all bottom line conversation.
Mm-hmm.
And he said that it was kind of before the meeting had started, and Steve was just standing at the end of the table, just watching and listening. And he said at one point, Steve walked up to the table and just went, wham, and slapped his hand on the table. And so everybody just silenced and looked at him. And he said, I don't want to hear one more word about how to make Apple more profitable. He said, you create solutions that people need in their life. The bottom line will take care of itself. You take care of the people. The bottom line will take care of itself. And it's interesting because this is where there is that kind of crossover from nonprofit to for-profit, and just passion and motivation for life, for daily life, and being passionate about your work and what you do, because it is all people oriented. It is all relationship based. And for a Melodic Caring Project, I would say, as for any business where they recognize that their solutions are people oriented, what they want is to make people's lives better, easier, more meaningful. That's what Melodic is. Our entire mission, our entire focus is relational. It's connecting with these kids. It's letting them know you are not alone. I know you feel like it. I know as you're in the hospital, isolated, separated from your family, separated from your classmates, separated from your friends, that you feel alone. You're not. We're here. We see you. We love you. We support you. And so I think that is the basis for Melodic.
Mm-hmm.
Everything, every business decision that we make at Melodic starts there, because anything we do, any new program we add, any new connection that we make, is all based on making the kids and the family, because it's not just about the kids that are sick either with Melodic. There's a really profound impact that illness has on patients and patients and families, I'll say, is that the patient is sick. So in the case of Melodic Caring Project, the child that's sick feels obviously very impacted, very alone. That resonates out. When the kid is sick, what do the siblings feel? They feel also alone. Now they feel neglected because the parents are so focused on the child that's sick that now the other kids feel like they've also been forgotten. They're also slipping through the cracks. Their life still matters. They're being recognized, being supported, being encouraged. All of those things still matter, but the parents are so focused on the child that's sick because they need it, that the other two, or however many it is, the other siblings feel like they're floating in the breeze. Well, the parents feel like they're exhausted. They're giving all of the time, and who's supporting and caring for them? So for Melodic, we support the kids that are sick, but we support the whole family become rock stars. It's the siblings, it's the parents. We send songs to everybody because they all need it.
Yeah.
And so it's very, very, like I say, relationship based. I mean, I think the same goes for any successful organization. You're looking at how can you better people's lives, because your product is only a commodity if it's bettering lives.
Yeah. I love that you said that. This idea of that your passion, when you focus and make it people oriented, and that it's about making it easier or better for the recipient of whatever it is that you're doing, that if that is the focus and everything starts with that, then you're going to like get there and make it work. Like, of course, there's more that goes into it, but if you're not starting with that, you might be missing the mark because it matters.
Yeah, and I think whatever you're offering at the same time then is if you're only offering it to make money, then it's not a commodity. I mean, it's something if you're offering it to better somebody's life as they purchase it, it's a necessary for them. It might start as like, oh, that seems nice. But when they realize that their life is better, their life is easier, they're making better connection, all of a sudden it becomes a commodity. And when it breaks or when, their subscription lapses, they're going to be back to renew their subscription. They're going to be back to repurchase that product. They're going to be because it's people oriented.
Yeah,
It's based on what their needs are, not what your needs are.
love that. Okay. So my next question is, when you're thinking about turning a passion into nonprofit, and I know we're
Mhm.
going back a few years here, and maybe you might feel like you've answered this, so I just want to check and see if anything else comes to mind. What are the goals? What are your goals when you are turning your passion into the nonprofit?
So it's funny. I will say that well, maybe it relates to everything. I don't know. I can't figure this out yet. For me, it's very closely related to music. Okay. So music for me was something that started as passion. I don't think any musician, maybe some, very few musicians start thinking, I'm gonna get famous or I'm gonna get rich. They start because they have this thing in them that they want to express. As they express it, they start to realize that people connect with it. As people connect with it, you realize there's opportunity here and you want more of it, you want to grow it. And then there becomes this crux where it becomes either it's a pastime and a hobby or it's your full-time thing. And if it's your full-time thing, you have to be able to survive off of it, right?
Yeah.
That is a really critical transition for any endeavor, whether it's passion, whether it's business, whether it's when you hit that point where it becomes your full-time thing, you're at a it's a high likelihood that you can lose your vision and your passion for it in that moment because all of the sudden your focus goes from the passion that started and inspired you to
Mhm.
the thing that you think other people are going to want the most. And you lose your passion in that moment because if you're trying to provide what you think other people want the most, not what your passion is, then you lose your passion in the pursuit of somebody else's desire. This happens in music all the time because you get one song that gets big on the radio and now you think I have to write a bunch more songs like that one. No, not necessarily. I mean, a lot of times, and something that somebody told me in music that really stuck with me is you only need 1%. If you get 1% of whatever your market is, so if you're looking in the nation, 1% is 3 million people. That's a pretty solid clientele, right?
Yeah.
So I think that for most businesses, definitely for nonprofits, I mean, that was the question. So I'll stick with nonprofits. Where what you don't want to do is lose your passion, lose your motivation for what you were doing. Because when you lose your passion, you lose that intuitive sense of what you need to provide to people, what your specific skill set is, what your particular offering is to people. And people will connect with what you genuinely are bringing to them. If you lose your authenticity in pursuit of success, not only do you lose your purpose for what you're doing, but
Yeah.
probably you lose that real genuine relationship connection that you were providing out of your passion. So
Yeah.
I think that's a critical thing is keep your eye on your passion, on your inspiration that created what you were doing.
I love that. I will say from a business standpoint, from a sales standpoint, conversations that I have with clients, a lot of times it's like there's a lot of things you can do. And just because somebody's asking you to do it
Yeah.
doesn't necessarily mean that you should. Because if it isn't something that you feel passionate about, then you're going to either resent it or you're not going to deliver it at a very high level. They're not going to be
Yeah.
very satisfied with the outcome. Just because you can do something doesn't mean you absolutely should. So I love that you're bringing it back to that it's so important, even in the nonprofit space, that you stay really connected to the things that are passionate, the thing that you feel called to do, and that still has to be the primary goal. And any decisions that you're making have to still support that, because as soon as you start to get away from it, then not only do you lose that authenticity, like you said, but chances are it will not resonate with your ideal donor or with your recipient of what it is that the nonprofit is supporting. Like there will just be this disconnect. So I do think from a business standpoint, it's like, what will people pay you money for? That's one of the criteria.
Mhm.
But it also has to be what's something that you feel passionate about doing and that you know uh, is something that lights you up inside. Because if it doesn't, then it's just the job, and there's probably other things that you can do that will make you more money. I know, like I have this conversation with myself from time to time when I think some days it's like, should I just go work at like the mall because I could crush sales of jewelry or cars or whatever things I've done in the past, but it doesn't light me up inside. And therefore, I'm willing to have those days where it feels like I'm trudging through mud
Yeah.
to to keep going, because business is not for the faint of heart, and I can't imagine nonprofit is either.
No, no, for sure. Well, and I want to be really clear. That doesn't mean you don't innovate. That doesn't
Yeah.
mean you don't iterate. That doesn't mean you don't, as you continue on in your passion, providing solutions or providing connections or whatever it is you're providing, you're going to naturally grow and learn and adapt to what you're hearing, to what people's input is. And that's good.
Hmm.
Continue to adapt, continue to grow, but keep it in line with your passion. Keep it authentic with your passion. If you, just like you said, if you start to iterate and innovate based solely on what you're hearing from other people, one, we say this all the time here, ask 6 people, you get 7 opinions. So people will tell you so many things, you
Yeah.
can't please everybody. And the
No.
reality is the things they're saying probably won't even please them. They're just, everybody has an opinion. You
Yeah.
don't chase every opinion, you can't.
Right.
But when you see natural ways to grow your passion or your solution that are in line with your passion and that authentic thing you're bringing to the table, do that, grow that. And for Melodic Caring Project, we started as a single program solution for kids in isolation and families in isolation. And that was, we would bring our production gear, so bring our full camera setup to a live concert that was already touring. So Coldplay is coming to Seattle. We bring our gear out. We film their concert. We stream it to kids in their hospital rooms. We provide the names of the kids to them while they're on stage. They take a second and go, Nikki, I see you out there. Everybody here loves you. We're all thinking about you. So that was our program. And we
Hmm.
did that program for 10 years, and it was really powerful and connected with a lot of kids. Then guess what? COVID hit.
COVID.
And there
Yeah.
was not a concert to be had in the nation.
Yeah.
Well, what are we if we are an organization that streams live concerts to kids in hospitals and there are no live concerts? What do we do? And so we had to innovate really quickly in that moment, which a lot of businesses do. Business is a very dynamic thing. Things are
Yeah.
changing constantly. I mean, with the advent of computers and AI and all of this stuff that's coming down the line, everybody needs to be thinking, man, adaptively, right? They have to be
Yes.
thinking future oriented. How do I stay relevant with all of the changes that are happening? And and I think if you're really pursuing something with passion and with purpose, innovation is a natural step. If you're doing something that is just a job, that's where innovation becomes really stilted, because guess what? You're not passionate about it. You're not looking at ways to approach it differently or what are exciting things you could do to add to this. You're not excited about it in the first place. So I think that's one of the reasons it's really important to stay passionate about what you do. And the only way to stay passionate, for me anyway, is to stay purposeful. You're providing something that's necessary, that's good. And
Mhm.
so for Melodic, we had all of these kind of ancillary programs that grew out of that one core program, which was connecting with kids and families in hospitals. And as we connected them with concerts, we started to realize, oh man, we're building relationships with these kids and these families, and oh man, we've got 2 weeks without any scheduled concerts. oh, man, I've got little Lennon who's in the hospital right now. What do I do? Oh, I'll connect with him and play music myself. That's what I do anyway. So great, let's do that. So would connect for a Zoom call or whatever and just play him a couple of songs. And then you see that that was really powerful. They actually really loved hearing my music almost as much as they love Coldplay, right? As they're in this situation where they feel really alone, any genuine connection that is brought to them out of compassion and out of purpose and out of I no, I just want to connect with you is really powerful. And so when COVID hit, we had all these other programs that we thought, well, they weren't programs. They were just things we were doing as a byproduct of our program. We thought, maybe we should turn these into core programs for Melodic Caring Project because our core program just went away. So we launched one-on-one music therapy sessions. We launched group music and art therapy sessions, and we launched a program we call Rockstar Requests, where the families, as they're going through really difficult times, will just send a request. Hey, my son he has a long week in the hospital this week. He would really love a song. He loves Imagine Dragons. Great. Then we have a group of artists around the nation that we'll send a song request out to. So we'll say, hey, Braden just requested a song. He's going to be in the hospital this week. And then one of our rockologists in Colorado or wherever they're at
Yeah.
will learn an Imagine Dragons song. They will send a personal shout out to Braden and say, Braden, I know you got a tough week coming up. Just want you to know you're not alone. We're thinking about you this week. I know you love Imagine Dragons. I learned this song just for you. So today you are the rock star. I am your number one fan. They sing the song. And then Braden will take that song and that video and he'll watch it 10, 15 times as he's going into procedures, as he's getting a needle poke, and we've heard so much feedback. We've heard from families that they just broke down crying because they just needed that. They needed that one connection. They
Yeah.
needed that one, that one moment of love where they just felt like they were completely alone, but somebody out there cared.
Yeah.
And we've heard from hospitals that we had a patient who we needed to place a port or we needed to do needle pokes or injections, and they were squirmy and they wouldn't sit still and they were scared and there were all these things. We brought up that song dedication and they calmed down, they settled down, they focused on the video, they watched the shout out. We did the procedure. We didn't have to give them anesthesia. We didn't have to sedate them. We were able to give them the procedure they needed, and it didn't cost any more money. It didn't cause any more pain. This was a remarkable physical impact on what they were doing and what they were going through in the moment. So all of that to say, so these are all long-winded answers. So sorry,
I
but
love them. I'm
all
so
of
in.
that to say that as you hold to your passion and your purpose, that doesn't mean you don't innovate and grow. You can grow and you should be growing.
Yeah. Yeah. This has been fantastic. I know we're coming up on some time constraints, and I want to make sure that that we get a little bit more about how people can get involved in the nonprofit. But before I do that, I think it's fun for people to learn a little bit more about you. You're such an interesting person, in addition to all these things that you're doing, and to be a musician and all the skill sets that you have. Cameraman, amazing, brilliant. So just a few little questions about you, and then we're gonna tell people how they can get involved with the Caring Project if they're so inclined. So my first question is, what's something that brings you pleasure and or joy right now?
Oh, it's funny for me. I don't know how it's possible, but 35 years in playing music, some of the simplest and the most profound joy I get is just to sit down with a guitar and sing a song. I don't know why it is. It just is. It can be just me sitting on the back porch and singing a song. I just absolutely love it.
Well, that's so amazing and super fun to know that about you. What is something people would be surprised to learn about you?
Let's see. Well, it's interesting because when Steph and I launched Melodic, I was working construction full time. She was doing property management full time. And we realized pretty quickly that we couldn't do everything, right? You only have so many resources. And we had a 1 and a 2-year-old at the time. So we had our first 2 kids came really fast. It was early in our marriage. We had 2 very young kids. We discovered Melodic Caring Project and we thought, this is So good. It's too good to not do. It was 2010. So the 2008 crash had happened. I was in, like I say, construction, and our whole family construction company was failing. We were in a really tough spot. And we thought, oh, okay. And Steph's dad was just a corporate, slow, steady, worked at a tech company, had been there for 25 years, and got laid off. And we thought, holy smokes, if the slow, steady 25-year commitment, that's to me, I couldn't do that. That looks like a really tough go for me. But he did it. He was faithful. He was true to the corporation, and they weren't true to him. If that is a fail, if personal entrepreneurship, which was what my family always did, building and development, that kind of thing, is a fail, why don't we focus on something that we're passionate about instead? And this is what Melodic Caring Project represented at the time. So, okay, let's put our time into Melodic Caring Project and do something we believe in. We didn't have a lot of money. We had 6 months of reserve in our account, and we thought by 6 months' time, this thing should be hopefully getting funded in some way, shape, or form. 6 months in, we had no funding, but we had a strong partnership with the hospital, and we had these incredible connection stories that we thought we can't walk away from this. This is too good. But we couldn't pay for our mortgage and Melodic at the same time. Something had to go. And so we gave up our house and we moved into an apartment at my parents' house. Actually, it was their mother-in-law apartment, and we ran Melodic out of there for 3 years. We didn't know that the apartment was riddled with mold, and we both got chronically sick living in this place trying to run Melodic Caring Project. Steph ended up with an illness called mast cell activation that she still is balancing, and I lost my voice for 6 years almost. Couldn't hardly sing, and that simple, profound joy that I was talking about was gone. And I don't know how to explain it. It was a profound sense of grief that I couldn't do this thing that to me had become it was how I viewed myself. It
Yeah.
became so
Identity.
central to how I identified with myself that and I'm still trying to build my voice back. It's been I can sing again, but not how I used to be able to. But it's weird because I lost the thing that was core to what I believed I was.
Mm-hmm.
And now at this point, just to be able to sing at all I'm so grateful for it that it has become, again, a profound sense of joy. So, yeah.
I love that. I love that. All right. What's exciting going on with Melodic Caring Project right now? What's something exciting you guys have coming up?
Man, I think I'm super excited because, like I say, 2020 was a really complex thing to navigate. We came out of it with 4 new programs, and I think this is really a common theme in business. You run into a wall, you run into a closed door, you run into this is impossible to overcome, and it feels like the end of the thing that you're passionate about.
Mm-hmm.
And the reality is it was precisely the thing that you're passionate about needed to be forced out of a comfort zone. And oftentimes those are decisions we would never make intentionally, but when you're forced out of a comfort zone, it becomes imperative or necessary to come up with a new solution, which provides new passion and a whole new sense of direction to this thing that you're so invested in. And that's exactly what happened with Melodic. We were so focused on our one core program, we never would have added the other 3 core programs to the organization. We just didn't feel like we had the time or the headspace. When we were put into a position where we had to add the other programs, we did begrudgingly and realized this is exactly what the organization needed. Because guess what? When you're trying to work with hospitals or people in hospitals, trying to work with a touring artist's schedule is pretty tough for them to make space for.
Yeah.
Now we have these other 3 core programs that are really easy for us to adapt, really easy for them to engage in. They're very relationship based, and our melodic has grown 627% in the last 3 years because of these other core programs that we added. And that's what I'm excited about. I'm just
Yeah.
excited that what we're doing, what I'm passionate about, what I know is just so fundamentally good. There's very few things in life that I've ever seen that you can look at and go, everybody wins with
Mhm.
this.
Yep.
That's not normally the case. Usually somebody's giving more than somebody else. Somebody's sacrificing more than somebody else. With this, that's just not the case. Everybody walks away going, that was such an incredible experience. And so for me to see the demand growing, the excitement growing with artists, yeah, it just feels like there's energy and uh, people are investing their passion into what we're doing. And that's what it takes for anything to grow. It can't just be us. It's these partnerships and these people that come along and go, I love this. I want to be involved.
Yeah. Fantastic. Okay. Last question for you. For people listening who want to get involved, what's the best way, whether they want to donate, whether they know somebody who would benefit from the program, whether they have their own skill set that could participate in being an artist, or like, what's the best way to
Yeah.
connect with Levi and Melodic Caring Project?
Thank you for that question. I appreciate it so much. So the website holds all of it. You can
Yeah.
go to melodiccaring.org, melodiccaring.org, and there you can sign up or nominate. So you can, if you have a child who's sick, or if you're sick, like you said, we're not just child focused anymore. We've grown to all ages. You can sign up to be a rock star with Melodic Caring Project. You can nominate somebody you know to be a rock star with Melodic Caring Project, which means we will just reach out to them personally and send them those rock star requests, connect them with one-on-one music therapy sessions, group sessions, all of that. There is a donate button, so you can donate if you're in a position to do that. And if you resonate with the work we're doing, that's always incredibly helpful. Another thing that I think is maybe underappreciated. But like we were saying earlier, everything is relationship based. And there are people that are just very natural connectors. I think you fall in this category. You're just a very natural connector. It's part of your passion. You
Thank
like
you.
connecting people that can benefit each other, that can um resonate with each other, and their combined efforts are exponential. And so if you're that type of person that believes that you have connections that will help us to impact more kids, more families, more lives, I would love to talk with you, because that's a big need. It's
Yeah.
just people connecting people. So
Yeah.
my personal email address is levi@melodiccaring.org, or all that information is also on the website.
Yeah. So please reach out and connect, support Melodic in any way that you can, because this organization and Levi and Stephanie and the work they're doing in the world is really impacting people who need to know they're not alone, and that people care and that they're seen. And so please connect. Thank you for listening. Levi, thank you for being here and sharing your story. I'm so inspired by you. I feel really grateful to know you. And thank you so much for being here today.
Well, likewise, Nikki, thank you so much for having me, for shining a light on what we're doing, but also just for the wisdom and the insight that you have shared on the Sales Maven calls that I've been on. It's been, man, it's been so helpful. So thank you. I appreciate it
Thanks.
very much.
Thank you. And for you, the listener, get involved, follow your passion. Thank you for listening. I'd love to hear what was your biggest takeaway from today's episode. And I'm wishing you continued success in all that you're doing. Have a great rest of your day. Hey, before we end the episode, I want to mention that there is a campaign going on right now with Melodic Caring Project around giving $1 a day. It's called the 1,000 Fans, and it's a great way to get involved with the organization. So here's some information about it directly from Levi and Stephanie. So take a listen and or watch if you're watching this on YouTube, and please get involved.
Hey, Stephanie and Levi with Melodic Caring Project, and we're kicking off a new campaign and want to ask for your help to join us in a small but mighty way to support our mission.
We are looking for 1,000 true fans to give just $30 a month.
Why? Because if we can find 1,000 true fans to give just $1 a day, our organization will be 100% sustainable, allowing us to continue our mission and focus more on the kids and families we serve rather than fundraising.
It's also a number that most everyone can afford, making it possible for everyone to help and be a part of making a huge difference as a sustaining donor, providing steady, reliable support to our organization.
So join us as a sustaining partner and true fan to support our mission.
Help us bring connection, joy, and hope to families around the world.
Sign up today at melodiccaring.org.